Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn about Python list comprehension. List comprehension is useful because it lets us create a new list in a shorter and cleaner way. Normally, when we want to create a new list based on another list, we use a regular loop. That works fine, but sometimes code becomes longer than needed. List comprehension helps us write the same logic in one simple line. Let's start with the first example. Here, we have a list of sports-related words. The goal is to create a new list that only contains the items that have letter A inside them. First, we do this using the normal loop method. We create an empty list, then go through each item one by one. For every item, we check if letter A is inside it. If the condition is true, we add that item to the new list. So this is the regular way of doing it. It is easy to understand because we can clearly see every step. We have the original list, then the empty result list, then the loop, then the condition, and finally we append matching items. After that, we print the result and see only the items that contain the letter A. Now, let's look at the same logic using list comprehension. Instead of writing multiple lines, list comprehension lets us write the loop and condition together in a shorter format. We still go through each item in the list, and we still check if letter A exists in that item. But now everything is written in one clean statement. This is the main idea of list comprehension. It is not doing something totally different. It is just a shorter way to write list creation logic. The basic structure is simple. First, we write what we want to add to the new list. Then we write the loop. After that, we can add a condition if we only want selected items. So the format is expression, then loop, then optional condition. Next, we use list comprehension to change every item in list to uppercase. In this example, we are not filtering anything. We are simply going through every item and converting it to uppercase. So every word from the original list is transformed and added to new list. This shows that list comprehension is not only for filtering. We can also use it to modify or transform values. After that, we create another list where we add a prefix to each item. We go through every sports item and attach a word before it. So each item becomes a modified string. This is another useful example because in real projects, we often need to format values, add labels, or change text before storing it in a new list. Now we move to an if-else example. Here, we go through the sports list again. This time, we check if an item is not equal to a specific word. If it is not that word, we keep the item as it is. But if it matches that word, we replace it with another value. This is important because position of if-else in list comprehension is different from a normal filter condition. When we use if only for filtering, it usually comes at the end. But when we use if-else to decide what values should be placed in the new list, it comes before the loop. So, remember this difference. If you are filtering items, the condition goes after the loop. But if you are choosing between two output values, the if-else part goes before the loop. Next, we work with numbers. We have a list of numbers, and the goal is to get only the even numbers that are greater than 10. First, we do it with a regular loop. We create an empty list, then loop through each number. Inside the loop, we check two conditions. The number must be greater than 10, and it must also be even. To check if a number is even, we use the remainder logic. If a number divided by 2 gives a remainder of 0, then it is even. If both conditions are true, we add that number to the new list. Then we print the result, and we get only the numbers that match both conditions. After that, the notebook gives an assignment. Create the same result using list comprehension. The list comprehension version does the same thing, but in one line. It goes through each number and includes only the numbers that are greater than 10 and even. This is a common use case for list comprehension. When we need to filter a list using one or more conditions, list comprehension makes the code shorter and still readable. Next, there is another example using numbers. This example checks each number and returns the number itself if it is greater than 10. Otherwise, it returns a comparison result based on whether the number is even. This example is useful because it shows that list comprehension can return different types of values, depending on the condition. Some results may be numbers, and some results may be Boolean values like true or false. In real coding, We usually try to keep list values consistent, but this example helps us understand how conditional expressions work inside list comprehension. Now we move to an odd and even example. Here, we have a list of numbers and we want to create a new list that tells us whether each number is even or odd. For each number, we check if it is divisible by 2. If it is, we store the text even. Otherwise, we store the text odd. This is a great example of using if-else inside list comprehension because we are not removing any numbers from the list. Instead, we are converting each number into a label. So the output list has the same number of items as the original list, but each number is replaced by either even or odd. Finally, we look at nested list comprehension. In this example, we have a nested list. That means we have a list that contains other lists inside it. The goal is to create one single flat list with all the values from the smaller lists. To do this, we use nested loops inside list comprehension. First, we go through each inner group. Then, inside each group, we go through each score. Each score is added to the final flat list. This is called flattening a nested list. Flattening is useful when data comes in groups, but we want to work with all the values together in one simple list. At the end, we also sort the flat list. Sorting arranges the values in order, which makes the data easier to read and use. So, to quickly recap, list comprehension is a shorter way to create lists in Python. We can use it to filter values, transform values, apply if-else logic, work with numbers, and even flatten nested lists. The main thing to remember is that list comprehension should make code easier to read, not harder. If the logic becomes too complex, it is okay to use a normal loop instead. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and keep practicing Python step by step.